super excited to get into it here. If you guys would, I prefer if you guys would subscribe, leave a like, and all that stuff. Anyways, that being said, let's get right into it. And then after I get into this, maybe, just maybe, I will do some stuff with my RC car. I just got some new 78mm shocks today, so I might be installing these. We shall see. All right, first, let's go on with the lesson here. Let's get right into it. Now, discouragement. I need to think about this a little bit before I get started, but I think discouragement, funny as it is, discouragement kind of leads us to a place where we need to be sometimes. Though, that got really quiet for a second. Though I know discouragement is really, really painful for so many people. I mean, I know it's painful for even for me to be discouraged at certain times, but oftentimes things that we don't realize is discouragement actually brings us sometimes to a place where we can actually heal. Discouragement helps us get to that place oftentimes. And so when things like this happen, I think, I think discouragement can be good for us at times. I'm not saying all the time, but I think there's definitely times that discouragement can be good for us because at the time when you're discouraged, it helps you learn the most. Again, this is something I'm going to have to think about how I want to word this again, but I just trying to figure out how, I just want to make sure I'm able to talk about this and actually teach something. So give me just a second to kind of get all my thoughts together real quick. Again, this is completely no notes. So if I can get through this whole thing with no notes, I would be incredibly pleased. So yeah, give me just a second here, and I think I can have something. Okay, so discouragement actually, I feel like it kind of helps us actually feel like what needs to be changed, right? When you're discouraged, you're constantly, frustrated. I guess discouragement can be something's not working, right? With YouTube, here's a great example. With YouTube, it gets very discouraging when I do these type of live streams, right? Okay, some of these live streams, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. We've got 2 days till Christmas, right? Isn't that kind of crazy? Yo, welcome. So yeah, no, I think it's okay, on YouTube, when you're doing live streams, when you're doing certain videos, it can get very discouraging, and here's the reason why. I'm doing good, how are you? The reason why it can be so discouraging is because, you never know what's going to happen. In a live stream, you can start streaming, you think the stream's going to be really good, you can have 7 likes for the live stream, you can have 8 likes, 9 likes, but then by the end of the stream, you're like, I got 0 subscribers. At the end of the video, you're trying to decide, is it worth it for me to continue teaching something to these people and get no subscribers, or to get a bunch of subscribers and not teach anything? Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Merry Christmas, everybody. So yeah, no, I think it's really important because oftentimes our jobs get very discouraging. But does that mean that our discouragement actually leads us to help? I mean, ultimately, when you actually are discouraged, when discouragement settles in, right, on my YouTube channel, I'm gonna go pretty deep into this because I feel like this is very true with the way it is. All right, on my YouTube channel, there's been so many times, I'm being completely honest here, so many times that I have started a live stream, and then by the end of the live stream, I thought, okay, this is gonna have I'm gonna gain 5 subscribers from this, and I didn't, and that really frustrated me, and I was to a place where I was really discouraged. And I just need to go somewhere and talk to somebody, hey, what do you think I should do? Ultimately, in my mind, I knew what I needed to do. For me, it's tough because these live streams, I like to teach people in my live streams, right? For me, I like to have genuine, heartfelt content. I try not to post a bunch of things I don't actually believe in. Same thing with when I'm teaching something, I try not to say something I don't believe in. And so when I'm making time for all these live streams, say I'm writing notes the night before, and it takes me 3 hours to write notes. And then I do the live stream, I'm thinking, this went great, I got a lot of likes. I end it, and I have 2 subscribers, okay? That really feels really discouraging to me, thinking, how is this that I haven't had any subscribers from this. I put in all the work. I put in all the time. That's the piece in our life where we need to start understanding that, honestly, this discouragement in these times leads you to do something better. Because I was discouraged about my channel, I would live stream and be like, this live stream isn't working out. I'm really frustrated that I can't get this where I want it to be. I went and talked to my dad, and after that conversation, I started to realize, hang on, I'm just going to say real quick, I see a lot of people in the stream saying, where are you from? I'm going to be completely honest right now. I am not going to answer those messages. I'm not going to tell you where I'm from. So, sorry, but I'm not going to tell you where I'm from. I'm just going to continue on the live stream. But I thank you guys for watching this. I really do. All right, back to what I was saying. So, oftentimes, because I went and talked to my dad and said, hey, this is where I'm at, he actually kind of helped me get a picture of, where do you want to be in your live streams? Do you really like live streaming? What live streams do you like doing? Instead of trying to follow a crowd, right? Okay, instead of trying to get a crowd to follow me, if I'm sitting here doing a live stream, try to get all of you guys to come and subscribe to me, I feel terrible about that, right? I don't necessarily want all of you guys to come and subscribe and like to me. I want you guys to learn something. And ultimately, I want to do something that I like as well. Now, doing something I like, these type of live streams, if I'm streaming like this, trying to teach you guys something about, say, discouragement in this live stream, and then I do get 6 subscribers, that really helps boost my encouragement. Now, when I get 1 subscriber, that really does kind of make it harder. It does discourage me. But in the end, here's what I'm saying. If you're a YouTuber and you're trying to figure out, what do I want to do? I'm not getting a lot of subscribers. People aren't really liking my content. Here's the best possible thing you can do. The best possible thing you can do is follow what you want to do, but work really hard at it, okay? And here's the reason why, is because if you try to go on YouTube and follow what everyone else does, everyone else's plans aren't going to match up with yours. For me, I was thinking from a long time, I want to do reviews on YouTube. I was following someone on YouTube called Kyle Kruger, and he was my inspiration for all my reviews. But then I started to realize I have to do all my videos on my own. These are my videos, not someone else's videos, right? These are videos that I'm producing. This is my channel. I'm in charge of it. So why am I trying to go and copy someone else's content? So here's what I'm saying. For you guys, if you guys are on YouTube and you're facing some discouragement, the best thing I can say right now is just keep going. And I know it's really, really easy to say. It's harder to do. But especially when you're in this place where you are having a lot of discouragement, sometimes your content is going to do really bad. And sometimes your content is going to do really good. Now, here's the difference. Is one day I'll be so discouraged saying, I have no subscribers. Nobody cares about my content. This content is just not reaching an audience. And then the next day I'll go and do the exact same live stream and then get, 6 subscribers from it. And then my encouragement, I'll be encouraged all of a sudden. My encouragement would be up here. And then the next day I'll go and do the same live stream and I'll be discouraged again because I got 0 subscribers. So here's the thing with YouTube is, start doing something that you realize. For me, I've started to realize getting monetized on YouTube is more of a 6-year goal. I'm not trying to get monetized on YouTube in 1 year. I'm actually trying to get monetized on YouTube, I'm not focusing on getting monetized right now. I'm focusing on making quality content. And here's the same thing I would say for you guys. If you guys are trying to do this, I would say the best possible thing you can do is split up your channel into 2 pieces, right? One piece be entertainment and one piece be educational. Okay, and here's the reason why. It's because one side of people like to laugh and kind of enjoy watching something kind of slow, kind of calm, slow down a little bit. The other side of people really want to learn something. Now, if you only follow one side, and that's entertainment, for me, I could never follow only one side. I could never do only one part and just do entertainment. The reason for that is because I honestly feel like if I'm just doing entertainment content, what is my channel actually for? Okay? If I'm literally just doing entertainment content, now I understand for you guys, okay? If you guys are doing entertainment content on your channels, I'm completely fine with that. Keep doing what you're doing. If it's working, keep doing what you're doing. Do not let this discourage you. All I'm saying is, for me, I don't want my channel to be only entertainment. You know what I mean? I actually want people to learn something. I want people to go home at the end of the day and say, wow, wait a minute, I actually didn't think about that. That's good. Instead of, getting off their phone and then going to work or something like that and forgetting the content I was actually teaching that day. I could go all day and teach something about my RC cars right here. I could go all day and show you guys here's how to change shocks on my RC cars. But if I only did entertainment content, if I only entertained people for the rest of my videos, then honestly, what's the point at this time? So for me, that's kind of why I do these live streams like this. And I like to actually teach people something valuable in life. Instead of just kind of hop on here and be like, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing, look at how many subscribers I have. Subscribe to the channel. I used to do that, okay? My live streams, I used to say, hey, I'm chasing this goal. I'm chasing 500 subscribers, subscribe to me. I don't do that anymore, and here's the reason why. It's because I feel like the more you start chasing subscribers, the more stressed out you get about when you don't get subscribers, okay? Let me make this a little more clear for you guys. Right, one day I say, hey guys, I'm trying to reach 500 subscribers, subscribe to get me here, right? And I get 10 subscribers from that live stream. Wow, wonderful, it must be working out. The next day I go and do the same thing, trying to reach 500 subscribers. I get 1 subscriber. That one day that I get 1 subscriber, I'm going to be so discouraged because the day before I got 10 subscribers. You know what I mean? You're trying to constantly create goals in your mind that you have to reach by the end of the day. And when you don't reach those goals, it's really frustrating and it really makes you discouraged at that point. And so I feel like discouragement comes as a point of trying to make goals that you can't accomplish or trying to make goals that take too long to accomplish, and you're trying to accomplish them in 1 year. You know what I mean? So it's the kind of thing where I used to do only entertainment content, okay? I really like to try and wait, what? What's going on the stream here? Wait, hang on. There's a lot of questions here that I never read. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, so someone asked, are those Traxxas behind you? And yes, they are Traxxas behind me. They are 1, 2, 3. There is a 4th one on the other end, but they are all 4 Traxxas. And then I also have another one. It's an FMS. FMS isn't really something I really love. I don't really love their brand, actually. It's okay. And then, all right, that's basically it. So I'm going to get back into discouragement here. But I just want to say real quick, how many times have you guys been discouraged and it really made you think deep on something? For instance, for me is my YouTube channel. There's so many times I get discouraged on my YouTube channel. It's not going the way I want, or I'm not getting enough subscribers this week or something like that. It's enough to really, really discourage you. And then you go and compare yourself to another YouTuber, which makes it harder. Now, but here's the good thing about discouragement, and hear me out for a second. The good thing about discouragement is it really, really makes you think deep on something that you're discouraged about. If I'm discouraged about my YouTube channel, my YouTube live streams, for instance, it really, really makes me think, what can I do better about these live streams? I'm streaming, I'm getting maybe 1 subscriber, really discouraging. What can I do better? How can I get more subscribers? And that was the only thing that's really good about discouragement. Now, discouragement can bring you down really fast. It's really, really easy to get discouraged, and it's really hard to get encouraged. But when you get encouraged, the discouragement almost completely disappears. And then once you get discouraged, you'll never be encouraged in that moment. You know what I'm saying? It oftentimes takes, I feel like it takes at least 5 hours to get out of that discouragement sometimes. It's kind of odd, but the other day I was standing there at work. I was working, like sweeping and mopping and all this stuff, and all of a sudden, just randomly, I started to get really discouraged. And I feel like part of it was of jealousy. You see somebody else that you want to be like, and then you let that discourage you. Oh, I'm not that person. I can't ever be that person. Now, here's the difficulty with that. If you constantly compare yourself to other people, it's going to constantly lead you to discouragement. Now, how many times have you thought about someone else? How many times have you compared yourself to someone else? Now, oftentimes we don't think about this, but sometimes people even compare themselves to where you're at right now. For instance, here's one thing, is my friend, a new angle. He is a great friend, a great YouTuber. He has really, really good content, okay? And it's all airsoft content. He does really, really good videos. And now at this point, I'm kind of wondering, why is it that he has less subscribers than I do? if I was only following his entertainment and education content, how is it that he has less subscribers than I was? And well, for me, it's kind of confusing because I know he's putting out quality content, and I want to see him at a place. I want to see him over me, right? I want to see him beating me in subscribers because I want to see the work that he's putting in. I want to see all that work, pay off and actually beat me in the end. I kind of want that to happen. But there's also a piece where when I was so discouraged on my channel, I'm not getting any subscribers. I was at like 250 subscribers when I was thinking about that. I'm not getting any subscribers, but I was at 250. And then when I started to look back and say, wait a minute, what about my other friends? What about people that are actually on YouTube? And I went and I looked at his channel, and I saw before he was at like 103. And I was thinking, I can't imagine what he's thinking right now. If I'm facing this much discouragement and I'm at 250, right? He could be at the same place with 103. Now, not everybody does get discouragement from this stuff, but I'm just saying, oftentimes we compare ourselves to other big YouTubers instead of realizing those people that are still struggling but are making really good content. Why we don't compare ourselves to them, right? And oftentimes it's the small creators that we can learn something from, because I was thinking about this and I was starting to wonder, why is it that I'm constantly comparing myself to big YouTubers? I'm trying to be some big YouTuber that I'm actually not. And here's the thing is, when you start to compare yourself to other people, to other big YouTubers, okay, here's the thing. If you'll start to go and compare yourself to Mr. Beast, that is the most discouraging thing you can possibly do. Is go and compare yourself to one of the biggest people you can find out in the world. The best thing to do is focus on, who are you as a person? What do you do as a creator? Okay, for me, it's really easy for me to hop on a live stream and talk about stuff I've learned. Discouragement, encouragement, all this stuff. I can talk about this for hours because it's something that really hits home in my heart, something that I can really connect with. Now, for other people, you might not be able to hop on here and then start talking about discouragement or encouragement. You guys might not be able to teach as well as I may be able to teach. So what works for you doesn't work for necessarily everybody else. And what works for everybody else doesn't necessarily work for you. I would say put your time in something that you're good at and that you can focus on. For instance, for my shorts and my long form video side of content, I like to do my RC cars. Now, I am teaching on discouragement in the moment. And so if I can make all these videos, if I can make constant videos every single day on YouTube, and I'm trying to compare myself to the greatest RC YouTuber out there, okay, which I'm not sure maybe Traxxas has the most subscribers. If I was to go and compare myself to that channel, and then get so discouraged because my videos are not the same as those videos, that's an issue because I'm trying to compare myself. Here's what I would recommend. The best thing you can possibly do, what kind of YouTuber and RC YouTuber. The best possible thing you could do is focus on your skills, what you like doing. Again, like I said, some of you guys might not like teaching. Some of you guys may love teaching. But here's the difficulty is just go and do what you want, Yes, that is exactly. RC. So RC is radio control. So I have a bunch of radio control cars behind me. That's what I do for my shorts and long form content. But for my live streams, I like to kind of switch it up and do some teaching because, I feel like in the end, there was someone that said, someone that had told me, okay, I'm going to start from the beginning here just for a second. Okay. I feel like I've been called by God to go be an evangelist in Egypt. Now, here's the thing, okay? Someone told me, why is it, if you are trying to be an evangelist in Egypt, why is it that right now you are trying to be an RC YouTuber? Why is it that you're trying to only make entertainment? And that really caught me by surprise, I had to really think about that because if you have one goal in life and your dream is to do something you feel like God's called you to, where in this moment is leading you to that moment in the future. Okay, for me, I start to realize that, and I start to think, okay, here's what I need to do different. I need to start teaching on YouTube. I need to start setting an example for my live streams. I need to start being the person I am on YouTube that I want to be in Egypt. I want to start kind of being that person. And so if you can set an example on YouTube, that is one thing that really sticks out to people. People really start to understand, what kind of a person you are. We try to set an example. Okay, think about this for a second. Just for a second. I'm not trying to compare myself or help you guys try to compare yourselves. All I'm trying to do is kind of fit in a realization here. All right. One of the biggest YouTubers right now in the world, Mr. Beast. How do you think his channel started growing? His channel started growing by inspiration, by being an example. And let me explain. Okay? When he would always go out and give, $10,000 to this homeless person. Here you go, here's $10,000. Let me just help you. Okay? Those videos caught a lot of attraction because you start to realize that he was trying to, be an example for people, be an example for good in the world. You think so? But yeah, honestly, I do feel like at this point, the best thing you can possibly do is hop on YouTube and be an example for who you really are. If you're trying to be an example for someone who you're really not, then I could sure, I know what you're saying. Sure, I know what you're saying. Some people have certain thoughts on that. I get what you're saying. I'm trying to, I feel like there's a lot of times, okay, though I do disagree with this, not because I love Mr. Beast or anything like that. I do disagree, but I also am kind of curious to hear more of your side of the story, and here's something real quick I wanted to fit in there is oftentimes, can I just say evangelists, when someone else has a different belief, they will go out to that person and kind of yell Jesus. You know what I mean? They kind of go out there and say, "Hey, you are a sinner. You're this one. I can't believe you believe that. Okay, you're a terrible person for believing that." Now, an evangelist's job is to go and minister. Your job is not to go scream Jesus at people. Your job is not to go out and be violent to people. Do you think you're more likely to bring someone to Christ by yelling at that person or by calmly, hey, okay, that's your belief. Sure. Why is it you believe that? Okay. I'm just gonna kind of create an example right now. If someone else is talking to me and they said, no, I don't believe in Christianity. Actually, I don't believe there is a God in the world at all, and I just believe this and this and this. Okay. Oftentimes I can say, okay, and why is that? Kind of ask them questions instead of saying, no, you're wrong, I'm right, which would immediately remove the conversation. The conversation would be over. We'd be yelling at each other. Or I can start saying, hey, okay, this is where you're at. Sure. So why is it you believe that? Okay, maybe it was because you had a pain in your life. You were really upset about something. Someone really hurt you in life. I got you. Right. Let me be compassionate and let me help you through this. Sure. Okay, here's my perspective. They're way more likely to look at your perspective when you're actually caring about them as a person, when you're actually showing compassion to them as a person. Let me read this real quick. Sure. Sure. So, yeah, I know. All right. This is great. I'm really glad you guys are bringing up this topic because I feel like I'm just going to say real quick, right? If Mr. Beast was the mark of the beast, I feel like he wouldn't be someone that is not only, so people say that Donald Trump, the president right now, is the beast, right? It's because he's hated by so many people and because he's loved by so many people. I don't feel like he could be. Now, Mr. Beast, I'm just saying he could be, but again, it's good that we're kind of putting some scriptures into this, but I think it's kind of good to dive deep, I think it's something, no, I haven't. I have not seen it before. It's just something that we really want to use as much of our biblical understanding as we possibly can. Because, I want to understand where you're coming from, and I also want to understand where God's coming from. Oh, for sure. Yeah, he was celebrated as a hero, as a fact. And I think many people will fall prey to his will. But I also feel like it could be a YouTuber. Again, I'm focusing on right now. Here's the best thing we can do. Okay, we can look at these people and we can be aware, but it's good not to think too much or focus too much on this person. I could. I'm just saying. There's nothing against you at all. Nothing against you. I think it's good for me personally. I can see people and be like, okay, I have concern about this person. I don't really like this person. This person could be bad. This person could be Satan. But I think it's also really, really better. It's a lot better to go and work on your personal relationship with God. Go and spend as much time as you can with God and get your relationship right with Him before we go and judge other people. I think it's really, really easy to go and judge other people, especially because they're popular. Popular people are going to be judged a lot. And here's the thing: I would never want to be. Sure, it could be more about selfishness. Just kind of he's selfish and chasing this crowd. I kind of get where you're coming from. But yeah, no, I feel like it's really, really important to just create a relationship with God first of all, because I talked to this person at work. He's a customer and he comes into the restaurant and complains a lot, or says a lot of things about this one and a lot of things he believes in, a lot of maybe some prophecies, and kind of twists the word in the Bible and says a lot of things like, because you're a PK, your dad's gonna die, God's gonna go and kill your dad as a pastor. And I've been told this a lot, and it's something that it's really frustrating. It kind of hurts, but it's also the best time to try to be compassionate to that person. Because if that person comes to me and says, hey, God's going to come after your dad and he's going to go and kill him and all stuff, that really hurts me. Because why in the world would I let someone say that about my dad? But it's also something, if you go and yell at that person, say, no, he's not, stop saying this about me, they're going to have almost a 0% chance of actually coming to God. The more hostile you are towards someone like that, I mean, I can see that person obviously has a lot of pain in their life. They're trying to get over this. Someone's done something to them, and they're trying to get over that. This is true. I haven't seen anything where he says Mr. Beast is Christian. And also, I do see in a lot of his lifestyle, he's not walking with God. I know in his main channel, he doesn't cuss a lot. But I know a lot when he's doing interviews with people, and it's not on his main channel. He does cuss a lot. And I think that's something that kind of plays into. Now, I personally don't believe he is the beast necessarily, but I also see where someone could think that. Sure, I see where you're coming from, I guess. But I also feel like he's not walking with God. I'm not trying to defend him in any way, because I feel like he's definitely not walking with God. I'm not going to say that he won't be walking with God. You never know. Something could change. Something could happen. But I feel like, okay, there's also a verse that says it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God than for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And because the more popular you become, the bigger of a YouTuber you become, and the bigger person you become, the harder it is to actually go and change something in your life. Mr. Beast at his highest point right now, do you really think he's going to go back and say, hey, I'm starting to see something's going wrong. I need to go and change something. I just feel like I'm getting too much money. I'm getting too selfish. I'm going to go and delete my YouTube channel and stop making all the money. Of course not. Who would do that? Because when you're in such a high place like that, it's so difficult to go out and change something. And if Mr. Beast was to go and change something and go follow God, you'd have to get rid of all of these selfish expectations. And so again, it's not good to compare yourself to other people. Oftentimes, we compare ourselves to other people when it comes to money. Okay? So many people compare themselves to people when it comes to money. Look at Mr. Beast. He's got so much money, and I want to be like that someday. Or you can say, hey, look, I am the richest person alive because I have eternal life. Because I am following God with my heart, and I am, I have a really good relationship with God. I'm, praying, getting in His Word. I love God. I am one of the richest people in the world because I have God, right? When you die and you have this much money, going to die with that money in the end. That money is all going to the next person in line. If you have a good relationship with God, if you have eternal freedom, you are the richest person in the world. And that's what I'm saying is so many people define other people by their riches and their personality. Now, so many people are going to judge someone who's in a very high place. And the hardest part, I would never want to be famous because you never know what someone's saying about you. You never know what someone's saying about you behind your back. Oh, this person said this. Or you're off in some other country, or people in a completely different country are talking bad about you, and you have no idea what they're saying, and you never will have any idea what they're saying. Now, again, like I said, I'm not trying to defend Mr. Beast at all. If you guys believe that, I see where you're coming from. But I also am at a place of, making sure that my relationship with God is great above all things. And that coworker that I was talking about, he would come into the restaurant and go on and on about trying to buy stuff to survive, buying guns and weapons and this and this and this, and in order to survive the whole apocalypse, or there's going to be a flood, so I have to move, and this one, right? And so I told him straight up, and it was trying to be as much compassionate as I can be. But I told him, I said, hey, just focus on God, because it's always going to be far more important to have a godly relationship with God than to go and try to save your life. So let me just think real quick. I think there's a verse in the Bible that says, whoever loses his life for my sake will keep it, and whoever keeps his life will surely lose it. And that's how it really is the more you focus on, I'm going to survive for me, I'm going to keep me alive, the less you focus on God and focusing on his plans. And so that's where it really goes south, is when you start focusing on, how can I survive? How can I change? How can I be better? You know what I mean? How can I keep myself safe? Instead of going and saying, hey, God, I want to just create a great relationship with you. I'm trusting your word. I'm trusting that you'll keep me safe. And so I think oftentimes people judge before getting their own life fixed up. And again, I'm not saying anything against you. I'm nothing at all. You brought up that Mr. Beast could be the beast, and I'm not saying anything about you that you're not fixing your life or anything like that. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm only bringing up a few examples, even for me, I'm just trying to bring up something that can be relatable to me, nothing for you guys. I'm not trying to bring any judgment on you guys. Again, I don't even know who you guys are, so that would be really completely unfair for me to try to judge you guys. So if any of you have felt that I'm judging you guys, I am absolutely not. I'm only trying to speak something that, I feel like needs to be spoken. So I'm sorry if any of you guys felt like that, but I am trying to bring out as much as I can God's word. And so here's the thing is sometimes the more you try to be an example on YouTube, or not even just on YouTube, the more you try to be an example, the more people judge you. And that can be difficult. But, even we're supposed to be able to die for our faith. We're supposed to trust God so much that we would be willing to die for our faith, and not, save our lives instead of die for our faith. If it came to a point where I was tortured and told, if you renounce God, then you will be saved, but if you don't, then you will be killed. I personally would rather be killed, because, it's those bold movements that really send a message to people. And not only that is, you're also in a way choosing God over death. And God is more important than death. God in himself is someone you want to follow for the rest of your life and have eternal freedom. And so, which is more important to you? Money, millions of dollars, or God? And God should be the number one. Right now on my phone, on my screensaver, I have my top priorities. God is number one, parents second, and then I forget, we have relationships, and then myself. That's how it goes. And if I started to not follow these, and if I started to put myself over God, I would immediately start to realize and say, hey, I'm sorry, go and ask for forgiveness. That's the place where we need to be at. Instead of trying to compare ourselves to others and get discouraged really fast, just do what God has set for you. Let me read this comment real quick. Okay, sure. I know what you're saying. You said that faith is supposed to give us eternal life. Right. So if you have faith, if you believe in God, if you, follow his commandments, ultimately, yes, you do have eternal life. Now, there's death here on earth. But when you have faith and you believe in God and you die on earth, you have eternal life in heaven. And that's where it's really at. Is, okay, in the Bible, in Genesis, when God tells Adam and Eve, if you guys eat of the tree of good and evil, you guys will surely die. Here's what he did. They did die, but they died to the they were perfect ultimately. I mean, so they would die. Okay, back this up a little bit. They died to their I guess their old selves, and they became new. They had more wisdom in that moment, but it became evil. Evil is ultimately what kills us. Through all these generations, is they were not sinning up to that point. They hadn't sinned before they ate the fruit of the tree of good and evil. They hadn't. But after they ate that, they died to that self, the perfect self ultimately, and then went and started sinning, and sin brings forth death. And so that's ultimately why. You even see in the Bible where it says sin brings forth death, but that's death here on earth. And so when you have death here on earth and you are right with God, you ultimately have eternal life up with God in heaven. And so I think oftentimes what people, kind of mistake. But sure, I understand your point here. Yeah, no, I'm really glad you kind of brought that up because I got to share that. All right, we are at 36 minutes here. I normally end my live stream at 30 minutes, so we said to reconnect anyways. It's sometimes really important to, just take notes as much as you can and really think about something. If something I said really kind of touched your heart a little bit or made you really think about it, don't hesitate to go and even post your own video on YouTube explaining what you believe. And just please understand that if anything was said on here that you thought was directed towards you, it absolutely was not. So I just want to end this live stream here, but I will see you guys all in the next live stream tomorrow. Bye-bye. I still have to wait for it to load, but other than that, bye-bye.